There are few aspects of German travel so misunderstood, so misappropriated for views than the German Autobahn system. Unlimited speed and unparalleled anxiety, at least if you are to listen to all those other videos. But as a bit of a local myself, a resident of Munich and Bavaria, where all the best German cars are born, I'd like to take this opportunity to set the record straight, dispel some myths, tell you what I think you need to know, but most importantly, I'm going to bring you along for the ride so that when you get behind the wheel, you are prepared, but not scared. However, unlike most near-from-home videos, you've seen the thumbnail, we can't start today's grand adventure off at the central train station. Instead, we're going to need to start with a convenient curbside pickup.
Good morning.
Let me get in the car really quick. Thank you so much for grabbing the rental.
No problem. I know how much you hate getting up extremely early in the morning.
We are awake shockingly early.
And don't worry, we are still behind schedule because of the S-Bahn.
Oh my God, yeah. The train to the rental agency. I heard you had a bit of a nightmare with that.
I did, but it's all good now.
We're in the car, we're leaving Munich. Let's go drive on the Autobahn, baby. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Driving through Munich is so complicated, or at least the core Altstadt is awful. The roads are so confusing, but luckily, within like 10 minutes, you get out into the residential area. 5 minutes after that, it really looks like you're in a village spilling onto the Autobahn itself, just right in the middle of nowhere. Munich is so small, it's insane. I can never get over it. The worst is behind us. One, two, three. No more speed limit. 120, 130. And I will say, growing up in the United States and driving in the UK and everything, if you're not used to no speed limit, it does feel illegal. It really does. Like, you shouldn't be able to just floor it like this. But I love those videos, you see them on TikTok every so often, policemen being passed at 200. It's so crazy, because they'll get out of the way, because it's legal. All right, 130, 40, 50, 160, 170. Hit 200.
No!
Oh, come on, I've seen you hit 200. I think because we're filming, Camille's being a little shy. Fun fact about Camille in this relationship is that she is much more into cars than I am, which has been a really strange transition. When I was a teenager, I was so into cars. Then I became really into trains, and now I'm like, you know, I like them, it's all right. But Camille has such strong car opinions, it's hilarious, but you just refuse to admit you're a car person.
They're also not really informed by anything. They're very vibes-based, but I do have very strong vibes-based car opinions.
I've never known someone complain so much about car quality than, like, there's my dad, and then there's you.
What I really love about driving on the Autobahn in Germany is how high quality and how consistent it is. I don't think I've ever driven on a bad road in Germany.
So true.
It's insane.
Now maybe that's another Bavarian thing though. Let us know in the comments if you've got experience driving north or east. But down here, our quality's good. Maybe that's why we've got all the car companies too. And I really hate for this part of the video to be anticlimactic, but honestly, it's just not that bad as long as you know the rules. So let's go over some of the tips that I would give in my travel consultations to new drivers on the Autobahn so that you can be as cool as a cucumber. So firstly, of course, there is no speed limit, but if you ask any German out there in the exact same way that they have one of the best train systems in the world and can't stop complaining about it, they have one of the best driving systems in the world and can't stop complaining about that either. So if you ask them about the lack of speed limit, they will be quick to remind you that many places on the Autobahn have speed limits. You see, the way it works is there's no federal mandated speed limit, but when there's road work, then of course they're gonna have a speed limit for that. So just because you're on the Autobahn doesn't mean there is no speed limit. You do need to look out for the speed limit signs, and when you see this special little sign pop up, this means no restrictions. And so now you could drive as fast as you want. There is a recommended speed limit of 130. So even if you don't want to go unlimited speed, you can hang around 130 unless told otherwise. Right now, 120. And so keeping that in mind, I think what really does scare people about the lack of speed limits is that many drivers that come to Germany aren't that good. And I don't mean to make fun of just Americans here or anything like that, but I got my driving license in Memphis, Tennessee, and I know how low the standards can be, and I knew nothing of lane positioning when I got my license, and the Germans definitely do. So, just for those who need a reminder, let's take a quick look at the lanes in front of us. The left one, that's for passing. The right one, that's for hanging out. And I think that one fact right there is what freaks most Americans out when they come to Germany. You guys hang out in the left lane like it's your business. And no, you should only be there if you're passing. And yes, there are some BMWs in a constant state of passing at 250 kilometers per hour, but you're not. So don't hang out in the left lane unless you mean business. And on the topic of lanes, it's also worth remembering, because this is another thing that I only learned from my mum because she was taught to drive in England, you can obviously overtake on the left, but you cannot undertake on the right. I didn't even know undertaking was a word for that, and I bet you at home didn't either. Leave a comment below if you knew that that's what it was called. But either way, it's incredibly illegal, and if they see you undertaking, you're in trouble. And it's also worth noting that there are a few more road signs that driving in England and in America I wasn't used to when I came here. Of course, we already showed you the removal of restrictions sign, but there's also the speed limit sign. Good to know. And of course, my favorite, the anti-yield sign. This is so cool. If your road has the right of way, they tell you. And I tell you what, it is difficult for me to drive in other countries that don't have this, because it's such a good peace of mind road sign, in my opinion, because I look at it and I know I don't need to be checking around everywhere. I've got the right of way, they're gonna yield. And I can trust that they're going to do that because Germans are incredibly good drivers. Me getting my license in Memphis, Tennessee was an absolute joke. It cost no money. My mom gave me all of my lessons, and the actual test, I swear to God, was driving in a square around the building. They didn't even check if I could park. It was pretty deplorable. Out here in Germany though, it couldn't be more different if they tried. It costs thousands of euros to get your driving license. It is a serious privilege, and they are very quick to take them away as well. So people really respect the license, and they respect the art of driving. They put a lot of money into it. They don't want to lose that capability, that's for sure. With all that being said though, you ready to get in the left lane and pass some people ourselves?
Hell yeah.
And there's a fast car right on cue. 130, 140, 150.
And roadworks ahead.
And now there are roadworks. Well, we really couldn't have timed that better. That is the most Autobahn experience you can have, ladies and gentlemen. Now we sound German. We're complaining about it. See, the Autobahn's really not so scary. You spend most of the time driving next to roadworks at 80 kilometers an hour. And every German in the comments, they're gonna agree with that.
This guy again. We were just going on and on about how Germans are such great drivers, and this slow guy wants to be in the left lane.
He's going 150. But 150 isn't a constant state of passing. And so now he's gonna get a BMW coming up flashing their lights at them, as is tradition. And of course, another part of driving in Germany, always be ready for roundabouts. Now, we cut our teeth in the UK. Camille knows a thing or two about roundabouts, going straight. And I tell you what, I love them. I don't know how Americans put up with four-way stops. We don't have those out here. We have roundabouts and autobahns, and everything is so much faster for it. I guess it's because none of you know how to drive. Can I say that? Is it too spicy? No, I have an American license. I know how bad it is. I was a bad driver too. And this really pains me, guys. We are now committing a near from home cardinal sin. We're driving next to the train tracks. I hate that. If you're gonna go somewhere the train can go, you should take the train to get there. But we're only going with them for a moment. We're about to cut deep out of the way of public transit, as any car driver should. If you're gonna rent a car, you should go somewhere special. Go somewhere off the beaten path that public transit just doesn't take you to. The train tracks can also take you off the beaten path. I really don't want to set up a false dichotomy where people think that renting a car makes you an adventurer and taking the public transit means that you're not, because that's just all bullshit. I mean, there are so many people who have barely scratched the surface of where the train can take you, and there are people who drive cars to like Neuschwanstein. There's just no point to it. The method of transit you choose does not make you a better or worse traveler. It's how you put it to use, obviously. And now, at last, as we exit the Autobahn and get back into the residential villages of Germany, I think, if you don't mind, I want to pull the curtain back on this video just a little bit, because we do have an amazing final destination that is worth driving to that I want to show you. But before we get there, I want to explain something about the travel industry really quickly. And frankly, the thumbnail that you clicked on, driving on the Autobahn. You know, if you look at a lot of other channels, we're not the first to do this. And frankly, I've made this video to combat theirs in a way, because a lot of travel guides, a lot of travel influencers, a lot of lifestyle vlogs pretending to be travel guides, if I may, they're preying on your fear and anxiety. Driving on the Autobahn, it's so scary. It makes you feel that you have to click on that video or you'll be in trouble if you come out here and rent a car, as I would recommend to many of you if you put it to good use. And I just think that's so disgusting. So I'm really sorry for making the thumbnail that they did and for kind of pulling you in, but my goal is the opposite. I'm not trying to prey on your fear and then shit out some crappy video about how driving really fast is scary. I wanted to make a video that took you on the Autobahn, showed you a great place to go in a minute, but also just showed you that it's not scary at all. They just want your attention. And I think it's really grimy, I think it's really gross, and at the end of the day, I don't think it helps you have a good trip and a good vacation. And that's what Near From Home is all about. So if you don't mind, I just want to sit on that thought for a moment. When you're watching other travel guides, sometimes you really have to think, are they telling me this because it improves my life, makes my trips better, or are they telling me this because I want to hear it, because I'm afraid of it, those sorts of things. The Autobahn isn't scary. If you're a competent driver, you're going to be perfectly fine. And so now that we've dispelled all of those myths and we're not going to be just driving along those train tracks, I think it's about time we finally arrive and get down to business. An authentic, tiny Volksfest that I literally don't think a single tourist has ever been to. We're really taking you off the beaten path. Did you think it wasn't actually just a day trip from Munich? It's always a day trip from Munich. Sorry for the bait and switch. It's a real Near From Home video after all. Welcome to the Mainburg Volksfest. And it's a good job we're here as well today too, because this very well might be the last actual Volksfest of the Bavarian Beer Festival season. Because what a lot of you might not know, I mean, obviously, Oktoberfest is so famous. However, between April and the end of October, almost every single town, village, and city in Bavaria is alive with the sound of beer festivals. And commensurate with that, as a local, I have a lot of beer vouchers that I haven't spent yet. So, if you're interested in more beer festivals, we have so many more videos for you. But for today, last festival of the season, we've got a lot of money to spend. Let's go spend it on some good food, some good beer, and maybe a few little trinkets. And since we are so flush with tent cash, we splurged on the absolutely massive and equally expensive Brotzeit board. For the kind of person who's indecisive about their Bavarian favorite treats, this is kind of the only thing you can get, because we have everything. A bit of Brezen, a bit of Leberkäse, We've got so much cheese, tons of radishes, because the Bavarians can't help themselves. More whole radishes, because you need radishes in multiple forms at a beer fest. And of course, because we're not done yet, 4 schnapps. These boards are absolutely massive. They're so much fun. And honestly, they really represent a really good tent atmosphere to me. You have a liter of beer, and plenty of this, you're having a good time.
I am so excited, so let's dig in. I've got a slice of bread, we're gonna put some cheese on it, we're gonna get some obatsta.
Oh man, I love the obatsta they have in this tent.
Me too, especially with the onions, it's so tasty.
I don't think you can see it from your perspective, but how about half a boiled egg?
I will take that too, that looks delicious. And of course, a Bavarian pretzel.
That's not a bad plate so far.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot more to go. And I assume you will be partaking in the schnapps, right?
Yeah, totally. Because I can handle my liquor. That seems like a good idea. So with my plate complete, let's eat.
And because Camille won't be partaking in any of the meats, that means there's a lot more left for me. And something I really wasn't expecting on this board, you know, I'm used to the salami, I'm used to the sausages, but what I'm not used to seeing is the Leberkäse, a complete Bavarian specialty if I've ever seen one. And if I may, Tell you what, I'm pretty excited. When I first moved to Germany, I must admit I did not find this particularly appetizing, but over the years, I think it's grown on me a fair bit. And comment below. I've always assumed that you eat this entirely with your hands. You tell me if that's how it's supposed to be. But now, last tent of the season, winter is coming, Christmas market season is coming. Subscribe for that. So we've got a lot of money to burn, and I'm so glad we did. Prosit ein Prosit, gemütlich ein Prosit, Gemütlichkeit. All right, I can't put it off any longer. The schnapps came with the broodboard, and it will be drank with the broodboard. In particular, what's quite cool about it is that the schnapps comes from this town itself. It comes from Mainburg. And in particular, because this town is famous for hops, which I learned by looking at the logo, this is Hops Schnapps. And I am really excited. I've never had that before. It's 56% alcohol, so I don't know if I should drink it or rub it over my hands to prevent a COVID infection. Oh my God, that's pretty damn good. I mean, it just tastes like sugar and alcohol. I might need a second one to really investigate the hopular flavor. That's damn good. And of course, besides just all of the amazing food and drink on offer here in the tent, you can also buy little souvenirs, pins, mugs, glasses, things like that. And since we have so many of these, yeah, we're picking up some trinkets. Servus. Könnten wir einmal diese haben? Ist das möglich? And that is a wrap, everybody, on this video, on this tent, the festival. The beer festival season has been a lot going on. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you don't mind the little bait and switch. We did teach you about the Autobahn, but we also taught you about German culture as well. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this and you want to see more, obviously we've got a whole playlist of German beer festivals for you. And we'll see you in the next video, wherever that might be. Ah!
But I was smiling. Do it again.
Okay, and ah! Careful! that was, authentic.